My name is Lily Tran, 31, a software engineer living and working in Seattle. If you've ever poured your heart into a job, believing hard work would be rewarded, you might understand how I felt that day. It was a spring morning, sunlight streaming through the glass windows of our small startup's headquarters, where I'd been for 3 years. I thought I was about to turn a new page in my career, but in a few short minutes, that belief crumbled entirely. For the past 6 months, I'd lived like a shadow among lines of code. I was often the last to turn off the office lights, surviving on instant noodles during late nights, and the first to arrive each morning. I took on tasks others left unfinished, fixed critical system bugs that nearly cost us $1 million contract, and trained 2 interns who, within weeks, could present confidently to the team. I told myself it'll pay off, at least with a well-deserved raise. The meeting room that day was packed, the air charged with anticipation. My boss, Harris, sat at the head of the table, his usual stern expression in place. Next to him was HR's Michelle, clutching a thick folder. I sat up straight, taking a deep breath to quell my nerves. My heart raced like I was awaiting exam results. "We're announcing this quarter's raise recipient," Harris began, his voice steady, "for outstanding contributions during a challenging period." I allowed a small smile, pride swelling inside. In that moment, I imagined being patted on the back, recognized before everyone. But the name he called next made my blood run cold. "Congratulations, Brian Collins." My head snapped up. Brian? I must have misheard. But no, Michelle handed out a sheet. Salary increase approval, Brian Collins. Brian leaned back in his chair, a smug grin curling his lips. He dropped a line colder and more bitter than any insult. "Oops, forgot to tell you." The room fell into a heavy silence. No one met my eyes. They looked down, pretending to scribble notes or fiddle with pens. That silence made me feel invisible. My mind flashed with images. Late nights patching code, mornings sipping cold coffee while others slept, self-pep talks to keep going. Now it was all erased with Harris's nod and Brian's smirk. I wanted to speak, to shout about fairness, to list every detail proving I deserved it. But my throat tightened. Tears welled, but I clenched my teeth to hold them back. I knew crying would make them think me weak, and arguing would label me bitter. All I could cling to was my last shred of pride. "I understand," I said softly, my voice foreign, low and cold, not my own. I stood, gathered my familiar coffee mug, the USB always by my laptop, and the small plant I'd nurtured through those long nights. My hands trembled, but my steps were steady. No one stopped me. No one spoke. I left the meeting room, leaving behind a cruel silence. On the way to my desk, I felt eyes avoiding me. Keyboards clacked, chairs creaked, amplifying my isolation. I packed my drawer's contents into a worn leather bag. No goodbyes, no fake good luck platitudes. I left the building as if I'd never existed there. But they didn't know one thing. I'd kept everything. Emails, code commits, Slack screenshots where Brian asked me to write it smarter. Reports Harris dismissed, later presented as someone else's ideas. Above all, I had my memory, a weapon they couldn't take. Walking out into Seattle's bustling streets, I saw people with steaming coffee, rushing to work. Buses carried hurried crowds, horns blending with street music. No one knew an earthquake had just rocked my world. I paused before the building's glass door, seeing my reflection. A woman with long hair, red eyes, but chin held high. I whispered, "They think I've lost. But no, this is just the beginning." I left that day not as a loser, but as someone who'd seen the truth. If I wanted to be seen, I had to create my own light. Sharing this, I know some of you have felt denied, your efforts stolen, or silenced by injustice. That pain is real, valid, and you're not alone. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Have you ever had everything collapse, yet instead of sinking, a new fire sparked inside? For me, it happened after leaving the company. I thought I'd cry for hours, blame myself for trusting in fairness. But no. When the office door closed behind me, I realized, if they saw me as invisible, I'd make them see me. Those first days were heavy. My small apartment by Lake Union, once a refuge from grueling shifts, became my command center. The dining table held my constantly open laptop, its blue glow reflecting in my sleep-deprived eyes. Sticky notes covered the walls, dates, names, events. I used a whiteboard, mapping workflows, marking who was responsible and who actually did the work. It all pointed to one truth. Brian took the credit, and I was erased. I didn't just have memory, I had proof. In company emails, I'd saved every exchange where Harris ignored my input, only for Brian to parrot it a week later. GitHub commits showed clearly who wrote the code, who merely tweaked a semicolon. I had recordings of virtual meetings where Brian's lazy voice said, "Lily, rewrite this to sound smarter." Each piece went into a password-protected folder. I wasn't a victim anymore. I felt like a lawyer prepping for the biggest case of my life. One night, gathering all the evidence, I recalled a key detail. On my first day, during onboarding, I signed a contract but no NDA, non-disclosure agreement. I'd questioned it and HR laughed. Small company, no need for that. Their oversight was now my greatest weapon. I trembled and laughed. They didn't bother silencing me because they never thought I mattered enough to speak. They were wrong. I sat at my screen drafting an email to Harris. Subject: Attribution request. Final chance. The message was brief, polite, but icy. I have full evidence of my work on the recent project. This is your last chance to make it right. If I don't hear back in 48 hours, I'll act on my own. I hit send, heart pounding. It wasn't just an email, it was a declaration of war. 2 days later, a reply came. One line: "Let's discuss this over a call." I stared, hearing that mocking chuckle from the meeting room. They thought I'd sit trembling, begging for scraps. I deleted the email, no response. I was done pleading. I didn't need a negotiation call. I needed the truth exposed. From that moment, I knew there was no going back. I wasn't just seeking a raise. I wanted them to face the consequences of their injustice. My mind swung like a pendulum. At times, I felt triumphant, holding a secret that could topple their system. But some nights, I lay awake, afraid. Was I going too far? Could a woman like me take on a whole company? Then I'd recall Brian's oops smirk, and doubt turned to rage. No, I couldn't let it go. I'd been erased once, and silence would erase me forever. One late night, with only the hum of my laptop fan, I reviewed my evidence one last time. The cursor hovered over upload. My heart raced, palms sweaty. I knew clicking it meant no turning back. In the screen's blue glow, I saw my tired but resolute face. I whispered, "They wanted me gone, but now they'll remember my name." I took a deep breath, hand trembling but steady, one click away. "Have you been in my shoes? Held down, your work stolen, then realized you held the truth?" That moment is terrifying yet empowering, like standing on a cliff, knowing one step could make you soar. If the story's gripping you, comment why. If it's not quite there, comment N. I want to know what you think. There's more to come, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Can you believe one click could change your life? For me, it happened on a late night in my small Lake Union apartment, with only the laptop's blue light. I hit send, and my evidence package went straight to the CTO of the corporation that acquired our startup. No fluff, just one line. "This is the truth you need to know." As soon as I sent it, my heart pounded. The room was so quiet, I heard the clock's second hand tick. I'd opened a door I couldn't close. Part of me worried. Would they see this as a bitter accusation or evidence demanding investigation? The next days were nerve-wracking. I still jogged around the lake each morning, stopped at my usual coffee shop, but my mind churned. Have they read it? Is the storm coming? Then news trickled in. On LinkedIn, I noticed first. Brian's promoted to product lead post vanished. Then Harris's post about nurturing talent disappeared. I laughed, a mix of triumph and bitterness. Those words once slapped me. Now they erased them like they never existed. Days later, Brian's Slack account was gone, his avatar blank. A former colleague said an internal investigation found most of the code he claimed was mine. Commit logs, emails, all laid bare the truth. A week later, Brian's LinkedIn title changed. Open to work, former product lead. I reread former product lead and laughed through tears. The world finally saw he was never truly a lead. Harris didn't fare better. Staff whispered that the board grilled him. Why let credit be stolen? Why favor Brian despite the data? He tried explaining, but my screenshots and recordings made his excuses hollow. I didn't stop there. One morning, I opened Medium and wrote. My fingers flew, months of pent-up words pouring out. Title: I built $1 million system, but someone else took the credit. I didn't just recount being sidelined. I described being a woman in tech, underestimated, silenced, erased. I included real emails, anonymized, keeping only the truth. I wrote with all my pain, anger, and hunger for justice. Hitting publish, I expected little. I just wanted my story told, to stop feeling invisible. But within hours it exploded. Notifications flooded. 1,000 new views. Your post is trending in technology. 500 new shares. On Twitter, tweets linked my article with "as she built it." People discussed, debated, empathized. Then the press jumped in. TechCrunch. Anonymous engineer exposes startup's dark side. Fast Company. Lily Tran's story. When women work, men take credit. Even a Seattle paper called me the quiet challenger of bias. I sat before my screen, overwhelmed, trembling. I, once silenced in that meeting, became the center of a public wave. Messages flooded my inbox. A New York engineer. I went through the same. Thank you for speaking. An intern. I thought I was alone. Your post gave me courage. Reading them, I felt warmth and responsibility. My story wasn't just mine anymore. I'd opened a door for thousands silenced. Harris tried damage control, posting, "We see this as a learning opportunity." No one bought it. Comments tore in. Learning? After stealing credit? Don't call it learning when the truth is clear. Brian stayed silent. No tweets, no posts, no presence. Industry whispers said he was rejected from project after project, his name tied to the scandal. I recalled the meeting room's avoiding eyes, its heavy silence. Now, that silence shattered into unstoppable noise. More importantly, I felt myself changing. I wasn't just Lily, the quiet, hard-working engineer content in the background. I became a symbol, though I never planned to. From invisible victim to torchbearer exposing tech's dark corners. One night, with my post past 1 million views, I stood by my apartment window, Seattle glowing below. In my reflection, I saw belief in my eyes. I whispered, "This is just the beginning." If you're moved by stories like mine and want to share similar struggles, check out my previous videos on this channel. Do you know what it's like to be invited to a table by someone the world respects? I'll never forget the moment I got an email from Alana Ruiz, the powerful CTO of a major San Francisco tech corporation. Subject: "Let's talk, Lily." I read it repeatedly, heart racing. Alana wasn't just a CTO. She was a role model for women in tech. Resilient, brilliant, known for transparent leadership. I hesitated, then replied, "I'm ready." A week later, I flew to San Francisco, a city of sun and ambition. In a small Mission District cafe, Alana sat with just a notebook and a warm smile. No assistants, no lawyers. She looked at me directly. "Lily, I don't just want you back in tech. I want you to lead it to where it should be." She slid a folder across. Inside, a 6-month contract to build a new product, full technical control, team choice, salary open to negotiation, and dream-worthy starting equity. I sat stunned, elated yet afraid. Part of me yearned to seize it, but another whispered, "Am I enough? Is this too big a gamble?" I looked at Alana. She smiled, reading my mind. "You don't just write code, Lily. You build trust. That's what the world needs." That night, in a small hotel by the bay, I signed. No more hesitation. On my first day leading the new team, I stepped into a modest rented office. A single floor, white walls, simple furniture. To me, it was a blank canvas waiting for color. I recruited differently. Not flashy LinkedIn names, but overlooked talent. I contacted the female intern who messaged me after my Medium post. I called a Black developer who'd shared his own stolen credit story. I invited a middle-aged engineer fired for being too old to be creative. We varied in age, gender, experience, but shared one thing: being underestimated. The first week, I didn't focus on the project. We set cultural rules, transparent recognition, specific credit for contributions, no idea dismissed for not fitting the boss's vibe. I wanted everyone leaving the office feeling seen, heard, and valued. I changed meetings too. No tense reports to please the boss, just a sharing circle where everyone could speak. I listened more than I spoke. When ideas arose, I wrote the proposer's name on the board, ensuring no effort vanished into the dark. 8 weeks later, our beta product launched, a smart data management platform for small startups. During the demo, the team crammed into the room watching every move. When it ran smoothly, charts perfect, the room erupted in applause. Some teared up, not just for the product, but for what it meant. We'd built something truly ours. News of the demo spread fast. Within 2 weeks, we got 3 investment offers. A major Silicon Valley fund offered capital without a full pitch deck. I remember trembling as I signed the first funding contract, a stark contrast to the humiliation of signing my resignation months earlier. But success brought pressure. Some investors wanted faster timelines, pushing the team harder. They suggested hiring senior managers from big firms to ensure progress. My heart sank. Giving in could destroy the transparency and fairness we'd built, turning us into my old company's clone. That night, alone in the office, streetlights glowing through the window, I recalled Alana's words. You build trust. This was my choice. The next morning, I met the investors and said firmly, if you want speed over human values, I can't do it. We're building not just a product, but a culture. If you don't respect that, we'll decline your funding. The room fell silent. They looked at me like I'd rejected a golden check. Then one partner smiled. We're investing in you because of this. You did what most wouldn't. I exhaled, heart pounding. I'd preserved our team's soul. The beta's success drew media attention again. This time, I wasn't the whistleblower, but the builder of a new system. I felt proud but more grateful for my team, once forgotten, now standing in the light with me. One evening, after finishing our final sprint, we sat with cheap beers, laughing heartily. In that moment, I wasn't a victim or avenger. I was part of a collective where everyone was seen. I knew this was just the start, and this success would soon reach further, touching even those I never expected to see again. Do you believe old faces return when you least expect? For me, it happened on a rainy Seattle evening. I'd finished a long workday, stepping out of the office with my familiar black umbrella. The streets shimmered with lights, rain washing the city clean. I took a deep breath, ready to hurry to my Lake Union apartment. Then I froze. Under the building's awning stood a figure, thin, rain-soaked coat, disheveled hair. He looked up, and I knew instantly, Brian Collins. My heart tightened. Memories flooded back, his oops smirk, colleagues' averted eyes, me leaving with my plant in humiliation. My grip tightened on my bag as I asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" Brian swallowed hard, voice hoarse. "Lily, I know I don't deserve to be here, but please, hear me out, just once." I wanted to walk away, but his eyes, panicked, desperate, made me pause. I nodded, gesturing to a nearby cafe. In a quiet corner, Brian sat across from me. The dim light highlighted his gaunt face, dark circles, trembling hands clutching a coffee cup. Gone was the smug man. He took a deep breath and began. "I've lost everything, Lily. After being fired, no company would hire me. I applied everywhere, but one Google search and doors slammed. My wife, she couldn't handle the pressure, wants a divorce. I have 2 young kids who need their dad, and my mom, she's got cancer, in chemo." His voice broke, eyes teary. I was stupid, arrogant. I thought I could take shortcuts, steal credit, and pay no price. Now, I don't want fame. I just want a chance to start over. One chance. I stayed silent. Old anger surged. I remembered sleepless nights, his "write it smarter" requests, him taking credit before everyone. I recalled colleagues' dodging eyes, the shame as the meeting room door closed. Part of me wanted to say, "This is your karma, you deserve it." But I looked into his eyes. This wasn't the triumphant man. This was a broken one, losing family, future, and belief in himself. I took a deep breath, voice still cold. I can't give you a job here, but we sponsor a retraining program for unemployed engineers. If you're serious about starting over, I can recommend you. Brian's head snapped up, eyes wide, tears spilling. You'd still help me? I looked straight at him, speaking slowly. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for your kids, your mom. Whether you turn this into a new life, that's on you. He nodded repeatedly, tears streaming. Thank you. Thank you, Lily. I won't forget this. I left the cafe, walking into the lightning rain. My heart was heavy yet oddly light. The bitterness was gone, replaced by a new peace, the peace of choosing forgiveness over hate. 3 months later, an email came from an unfamiliar address. I opened it and smiled faintly. Dear Lily, thanks to the program you recommended, I finished the course. I'm now at a small company in Tacoma. Low pay but steady. I can pay for my mom's meds and spend time with my kids. I don't know how to thank you enough. I promise to live honestly, never repeating my mistakes. Brian. I reread it, a mix of emotion and release washing over me. I realized my greatest victory wasn't Brian's downfall, but his chance to rebuild. I sat by my window, Seattle glowing in the sunset, the sky red over Lake Union. I told myself, forgiveness didn't weaken me, it's my strength. Do you know what it's like to stand before 5,000 people, spotlights on you, the room hanging on your every word? A year ago, I was the quiet one leaving an office in shame, clutching a plant. Now, I stood at a national tech conference in San Francisco, the keynote speaker. I stepped onto the stage, music fading. The room hushed. The lights were so bright I couldn't see faces at first, just a sea of people. My heart pounded. I gripped the mic, took a deep breath. My name is Lily Tran, I began, my voice echoing in the vast hall. A year ago, I was just a software engineer in Seattle. I worked day and night, believing effort would be rewarded. But in one meeting, it all fell apart. Someone else took credit, and I was pushed out in silence. The room was still. I saw eyes lock onto me, attentive. I continued. That day, I left with empty hands. But I carried more than they thought. I had the truth, and I chose to use it. I shared how I sent the evidence, how my Medium post went viral, and how I became a voice for the silenced. My voice caught as I mentioned messages from young engineers. I thought I was alone. You gave me hope. My eyes scanned the front row. A young woman, hair tied high, face tense but eyes bright, nodded along. I knew others in the crowd carried my same pain. Then I spoke of my new team, people once underestimated, robbed of credit, now building a beta product in 8 weeks. I emphasized, we didn't just write code, we rewrote how work is recognized. There, no one's invisible. Every contribution has a name. Applause began. I raised a hand asking for silence to share the most important part. I want to tell you about someone, the one who betrayed me, took my credit, and left me humiliated. Months later, he came back, broken, having lost his job, reputation, family crumbling, his mother gravely ill. He said, I don't want fame, just a chance to start over. The room stirred. I paused, letting it sink in. I could have turned away. I could have called it karma. But I chose differently. I recommended him for a retraining program. Months later, he emailed me. He'd found a job, could care for his family, and promised to live honestly. My voice softened, then grew firm. The greatest victory isn't destroying someone. It's helping them change. Don't just take a seat. Build a room where everyone has one. The room went silent for a moment. Then, like a wave, everyone stood, applause roaring. I saw people wipe tears. I bit my lip to hold back my own. In that crowd, I saw young faces, new graduates, eyes anxious yet hopeful. I saw tech's future in them, a future built on fairness and trust, not silence or theft. The stage lights burned, but my heart was calm. My journey wasn't just about reclaiming my honor. I'd planted a seed, sprouting in thousands of hearts. After the speech, people rushed to shake hands, take photos, connect. I smiled, thinking, I was once erased, but now I've written my name into a generation's story. That night, Leaving the conference center, I looked up at San Francisco's glowing sky. I wondered, if I'd given up in silence a year ago, would this day exist? I whispered to myself, no one can define your worth but you. They can steal credit, but not your voice, unless you choose silence. You may realize fairness doesn't always come from systems. Sometimes, you must claim it with courage. I walked out of a room in shame, but from that moment I learned to stand, speak, and find a bigger path, one of truth, trust, and forgiveness. I understand victory isn't just proving who's right or wrong, but opening a door for others to change. Forgiving Brian didn't weaken me, it showed me the deeper value of compassion. Standing on that stage, seeing thousands of hopeful eyes, I knew I wasn't alone. If this story made you reflect, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and follow my channel for more journeys. The next story might just be the message you need.